So as you may already know, next week I'll be launching a course called Courage to Speak, a course in wise interrupting, speaking your truth, and setting life-serving healthy boundaries. In this video, I want to make sure to give you a short practice that you can do today to start to speak up a bit more in your own life. So even if you don't take the full course, I would like to contribute some value to you today, something that might help you in your path. I also want to share with you something I'm really excited about that I literally just added to this course a few hours ago that I think is going to make all the difference for those of you who are already interested. And then before I get into any of that though, I just want to say something that you can just take with you today, which is to remember that you were born with the ability to speak up and speak your truth. You were born with the ability to wisely interrupt and to set life-serving healthy boundaries. You know, if you think about babies, and all of us were babies at one point, most babies, and likely including you, did not have a problem speaking up for your needs. Speaking up for needs for food, speaking up for needs for love and nurturance, speaking up for needs for safety. You would cry out. You would interrupt whatever's happening to care for and respond to those needs. And you even speak out in empathy with other people's needs. So if there was another baby crying or someone in distress or pain, you might have cried out as well in empathy for what was going on. So for the vast majority of us, maybe even all of us listening to this video right now, you were born speaking your truth, wisely interrupting your parents, making healthy boundaries, refusing to go along with something that wasn't working for you on a very basic level. And at some point along the way, you began to be educated out of that response. Why this is really important is because one message I really want to make clear to you is that speaking your truth, wisely interrupting, setting healthy life-serving boundaries, it is a part of who you are. It's like if listening and understanding and compassion and empathy were your left hand, speaking up, speaking truth, setting life-serving boundaries, this is like your right arm, your right hand. When we don't act or exercise that ability, it's as if we were going through life with one arm tied behind our back. Life has given us this ability, has given us both arms, the arms of listening and compassion for others' needs, and the ability to speak up. And in fact, not just speaking up for our own needs, but also speaking up for others' needs and to contribute. So this is one of the reasons why I feel this course is so important, particularly in this day and age where there's so much around either people are silent and submissive, or people are trying to dominate conversations, and where speaking up is actually more like trying to speak over others. I would like to offer some skill building and some real resources to support all of us to grow in the ability not to speak over others, but to speak to others, to speak with others. There's a lot of you who are really caring people who've maybe even taken a lot of nonviolent communication training or other forms of training who nonetheless have been choosing not to speak up because you're so afraid of causing harm or risking your own basic needs for love, belonging, mattering, what have you. So this course I'm offering is really designed to support that and help with that. I want to share with you two things I added just in the last few hours that I think will really meet the needs of a lot of you who are interested in this topic. One is I'm adding a bonus live module with Roxy Manning. Roxy Manning is the author of How to Have Anti-Racist Conversations and The Anti-Racist Heart. She's co-author with Sarah Payton in that. One of the things Roxy's going to be bringing in her live module is around boundaries when it's high risk, high stakes. And I can think of almost no one else who'd be better to speak to that than Roxy. And from what I know of Roxy and her life, I know she's had to make boundaries in a lot of high stakes, risky situations. So she's a wonderful person to speak to this. I'm so grateful she'll be sharing her wisdom as part of this course. And so when you sign up for the course, you'll actually get that module as well. And it's a live module with Roxy on boundaries in risky situations. And the other live module I added just today is with Marie Miyashiro, who is probably the most experienced person on bringing nonviolent communication into the corporate world, into businesses and organizations. And she's going to be offering a module on the courage to speak into what matters at work. And again, this is another topic that I've heard from many of you is really, really important, is to learn about. So how do you apply speaking up in situations where it's more complex, where there's many layers of needs, organizational and team needs? I can think of no one better to speak to that than Marie Miyashiro. I'm just really excited that they're jumping on board with this, and I'm really excited for how it's going to benefit all of you who might be signing up. So I also want to just give you a practice today, because it's one thing to talk about a course that's in the future, but for me, as I often like to say, my life is made more wonderful when your voice is part of it. And so I want to give you something today that you can use right away and hopefully begin taking a further step towards speaking your truth in your life. So the practice is really simple. I would like you today, and maybe into this week, anytime you are asked for your opinion, or you have an opportunity to state something, your preference, I'd like you to offer an opinion or your preference. In other words, what I'd like you not to do is not to say whatever you want to the other person, or it doesn't matter to me, what do you want, and ask their opinion. I don't want you to say, I don't know. And I don't want you to say, it doesn't matter. I want you to express an opinion. I want you to express a preference anytime that you are asked or given the opportunity to do so. Put your voice out there. So I'm giving you this practice because for some of us, even in the lowest stakes situations, when people are actually interested in what we want, what matters to us, what's true for us, we don't put ourselves out there because we tell ourselves it's better to be considerate of others' needs first, or that our needs don't matter, or we don't want to be perceived as needy. But for today or this week, what I want to invite you to do is do put your opinion out there. Do put your preference out there. And I'm not saying get attached. I'm not saying if that opinion or that preference doesn't become the decision or the choice. I'm not saying fight for it. All I'm saying as you practice today, this week, is just put it out there, especially if you're being asked. Even down to if someone's asking you what movie you want to watch tonight or where do you want to eat today, express an opinion. Okay? It's just a super micro practice. I know it may seem small to some of you, but for some of you, I know this is a really big step. So I invite you to do it. All right. One last thing I want to share is that because I just added these 2 new bonuses with Roxy and Marie to the Courage to Speak course, I'm going to extend the early bird deadline for another 2 days. So if you would have been on the fence about signing up and you really want to do it right now, I'm going to give you a little bit more time to take advantage of the early bird registration price. So, but do sign up, because after those 2 days, I'm going to go back to the full price. So for me, it really helps to know who's in the course as soon as possible. So that's why I'm making this discount available just a little longer, because I know some of you have been thinking about this. And these bonuses with Roxy and Marie, I'm hoping also address some of the other areas you want to learn more about with speaking truth. Okay, I'm really excited to see many of you in the course. If you're not there, no worries. I hope you'll take up the practice I shared with you today. And more than anything, I hope you remember, speaking up is your birthright. It's who you are. It's who you're meant to be. and it's one of your two arms, two hands that you have to make change with in the world, to make our world more wonderful together.